welcome back to another episode of Hol A Meds. I'm your host, Janelle. Today, we'll be talking about generic pharmaceuticals. Joining us is our CEO and registered pharmacist, Audley Reid. Hi, Audley. Thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
Hi Janelle, thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
Okay, that's great. You look nice.
Oh, thanks. You too.
Okay, so Audley, R.A. Williams, as we know, is a pharmaceutical distributor, but R.A. Williams distributes a lot of generic pharmaceuticals. So could you just let our viewers know what generic pharmaceuticals are?
Well, generic pharmaceuticals essentially are drug formulations that are the exact same as the innovator branded products.
Okay, so for our viewers watching who may not know what an innovator brand is, could you just explain that a little bit?
Good question. Innovator products are really the first to market drugs. These are manufacturers who tend to first do the drug discovery. They do studies on the safety and efficacy of the drug molecule in terms of treatment of specific disease conditions. And they do other studies as well, clinical trials, to determine the long-term suitability of these drugs over time and the effects that it has on the body. These studies are expensive, and so usually they are granted a certain time period to be in market before a generic is introduced.
Okay, that's really interesting, really good to know. Okay, so what would you say that generic drugs are safe?
Oh, absolutely. Generic drugs are safe for use. They are also very efficacious. That has been proven over the number of years that they've been in market and been in use. These drugs do go through a lot of rigorous testing and stringent regulatory supervision of their manufacturing processes. The biggest drug regulator in the world, the US FDA, Food and Drug Administration, has recommended and approved several generic formulations in the US for use. And here in Jamaica as well, a lot of people do not know, but our Ministry of Health has a very strong, strident, and strict regulatory process through which generic drugs have to go through before they are introduced on the market. They do a lot of testing, they do a lot of review of documentation of the processes in terms of how the drugs are made and all of that. And so, yeah, they are safe, and people can be confident that if a generic drug is being offered on the market here in Jamaica, they have been through regulatory testing and approvals.
Okay, so being that the testing and the approval process is so rigorous, would you say that generic drugs are important, especially here in the Caribbean and in Jamaica?
Oh, absolutely. Generic drugs are important for the population. You see, the key is that with branded formulations, affordability challenges do arise in certain segments of the population. And as a pharmacist, that is key for us in our business. One of the goals or ambitions of the business is to broaden access to medical care through pharmaceuticals.
Right.
And so this is where generic play a highly pivotal role in terms of providing pharmaceutical preparations in an affordable form that a broader cross-section of the populations can get access to.
I'm really loving this conversation about generic drugs. It's so interesting.
Well, I'm happy because there's a lot of stigma associated with generic drugs out there in the market, in the society. And so these conversations are important to allay fears
Right.
and just to ease the general understanding of the public as to what exactly a generic drug is and is it safe, and how they should view it when they go to a pharmacy or a doctor's office to seek medical care.
Okay, great. So how does R.A. Williams choose their generic products, and how do they choose which manufacturers they would like to purchase their generic medication from?
Very, very interesting question. R.A. Williams is very meticulous about what drug we choose to bring to market. It goes through first a very rigorous selection process in terms of the drug first. So as pharmacists, we have a committee, a new business committee that meets regularly and take a look at what the gaps are in the market, what the needs are. And from that, we determine what drug we want to search for. From there, we identify who the manufacturers are across the world in different countries who make these products, and then we do an evaluation of the manufacturers to see first if they align with our core values in terms of, certain things. We're big on integrity, we are big on innovation, we are big on safety of drugs that we bring to market. So the manufacturers are evaluated using those criteria, and then we tend to narrow it down and make a selection and determination if we want to align with someone to bring a drug to market here in Jamaica.
It sounds like a really long, big process.
It can be, but as pharmacists, because of our expert knowledge of these things, drug formulation, drug manufacturing, and the processes, we tend to be very efficient at it.
Okay, so I'm really happy to know that our pharmaceuticals in Jamaica, they're in really good hands. All right. So my next follow-up question would be, tell us about the big picture. What are the plans for Ari Williams? What's in store for Ari Williams for the future?
So much in store. Ari Williams is growing and has been growing very rapidly. And we hope to continue on that trajectory because we believe that our impact is being felt out there in the wider society, because we've been able to offer solutions in terms of more affordable, safe, but quality pharmaceuticals. And so the population has been responding well by showing their appreciation, and there's just an ever increasing demand for our drugs in the market. So we see ourselves as continuing on the journey of broadening access to pharmaceutical care by providing affordable, safe, and quality pharmaceuticals in market. Not just here in Jamaica, but eventually, hopefully, to expand or reach to the Caribbean as well.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Audley. Thank you for educating us and telling us about generic pharmaceuticals and the plans that, Ari Williams has for the future.
Thank you for having me, Janelle. It was an absolute pleasure. I enjoyed it, and it was great to come and Hol A Meds.
So there you have it, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in. And until next time, keep on holding a meds.